Hello, everybody. This is my third video in this podcast style that I've done. I haven't done one for a while. I just thought I'd do it now just to let you know about a couple of things that have been happening. As I've mentioned on my community page and on other social media, Medieval History Buff, the website, is going to be shutting down. And I've got another one in the works, which is called the History Hangout. My idea for Medieval History Buff was to turn it into a bit of a brand, so I'm going to keep that name and use it elsewhere. But as I say, the blog is shutting down. For the History Hangout, the reason I called it that is because I wanted to make it a place where people could come and comment and interact with me, and there is going to be more visible comment sections on my blogs, which is cool, and hopefully people feel happy and able to actually comment on my work. I'm quite sad that the website has had to close down, but I wasn't really left with much of a choice, really. The platform made changes that I wasn't happy with, and it actually became unusable, which is unfortunate. But on this new website, I will be making it more professional, and actually I can make changes now that my blog actually starts to look like it can become a bit of a career for me. Whereas I never really felt Medieval History Buff, the website, was ever going to quite be that platform for me to further myself, if you know what I mean. What I'm currently doing at the moment is transferring my content off Medieval History Buff onto the History Hangout. So if you do go onto my website, although it's not verified on Google yet, if you follow one of my links, you will just see work that I've done previously. That's eventually going to change. Once I've uploaded everything onto the History Hangout, I'll shut down Medieval History Buff. But then what you'll see is that the content on what is now the History Hangout is actually quite similar to my YouTube videos. That's going to change. From now on, I'm going to be writing blogs that are specific for my blog. Whereas before, I was using it as kind of a script to produce my YouTube videos. That's going to change. My YouTube videos are going to now be completely separate from what you see on my history blog. So it's going to be a kind of a two-pronged attack, really. My blog is now going to be very much driven towards getting as much traffic on there as possible. My focus on Medieval History Buff wasn't really on that, but now hopefully I'll be able to drive higher levels of traffic, and hopefully I can get some advertising on there and make it as profitable as possible. Because as I've mentioned to other people, I feel like my content isn't necessarily getting the numbers it deserves. Without blowing my horn too much, it's still fairly low level on YouTube. So what this has presented me with is an opportunity to try and build an audience in two ways now. If I'd remained on Medieval History Buff, it was just chewing up a lot of my time, and I'm not getting much reward out of that website. But now I think on this new website there will be more engagement, and hopefully there'll be a bigger audience. That brings me on to my next subject, my current audience. I'm extremely grateful for the support that I've had. First of all, I've had my first patron on Patreon, a man called Robert G. Ferrick, who I am extremely grateful for becoming my first patron. It's incredibly gratifying that people regard your work well enough to do such a thing. I think it's really incredibly cool, and I'm very, very grateful. I'm also very grateful for the nice comments that I've had. People slag off social media quite regularly, but actually, my experience of social media in general has been, I would say, 95% positive. People have been really, really supportive, not just on YouTube, but also on my other social media. And a third and final comment that I just wanted to make is that although I've done 3 of these podcast style videos now on YouTube, in the long run, that is not going to be my plan. I have a podcast technically set up on Spotify, although I've not really paid that much attention yet. And that is something that I will be looking to give a bit of a go in the future. But for the time being, as I said, I'm looking to transfer my stuff onto my new website, make my new blog really as sharp and professional as possible, and to produce more exciting and interesting stuff on YouTube. So I hope people continue to engage on YouTube or whatever social media they happen to follow me on. When my new website and new blog is verified on Google, I will let people know in the community page. So do remember to keep an eye out on that. And if you have any comments or suggestions for videos or blogs, do feel free to let me know. I am open to almost everything. I say almost open to everything. I was given one suggestion a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, I've just not got the material for the suggestion that was given to me, because it was a quite a random and out of the blue sort of area of history. Now, I have to say, I've got a good range now of primary source material on English history, on Byzantine history, on European history, but this was just too out of my remit, really. But I am almost open to everything, even ancient history. That would be, if somebody's got an idea for that, I'd be happy to think about that for an idea. But yeah, just once again, thank you for all the support that you've given me. I'm extremely grateful. And I might, as I'm building my new blog, I might do a couple more of these types of informal videos. As you can probably tell, I've not put too much thought into the content of this video. It was just something I felt was necessary. And if you do listen to my videos and watch them, I am aware that in a couple of videos I've repeated myself on a couple of occasions. So that's something I need to keep an eye out on, and I will be a bit more stringent now on the content that I produce, whether it's video or whether it's written. Because if you did look at the content that's now on History Hangout, my old content, I've not always proofread it as thoroughly as I should. And that's what I mean by turning this new blog into something more professional and something more slick. Because ultimately, some of this content is something I think can possibly go towards perhaps publishing a book in the future. And so I've got lots of different ideas for how I want this to expand. And I think after a year now of blogging and of doing social media work on medieval history, I think I am ready to go to the next level. And I hope other people agree with that. If you don't, feel free to let me know, because as I'm as I say, I'm very open to compliments, but I'm also very open to critique as well, as long as it's constructive criticism and not just something daft like hitting the dislike button and then not contributing anything, because I can't do anything if you just hitting a dislike button. It does nothing for me. I've only had a couple of them, but it's not very helpful, and actually it's quite disheartening if you just got people just walking away thinking, "Oh, I'll just hit the dislike button," because I'm trying to really offer something to people, something that's engaging and that's interesting and a little bit different. It's not just mainstream history, but it's different types of history. If you heard that car driving past, I apologise. Yeah, so as I say, if you just want to engage with me in any way possible, good or bad, do feel free. Just make it something that's useful. And finally, if you do feel like supporting me on Patreon, the links in the description of a couple of my videos, although I've not actually put it in my all my video descriptions yet. But you can also find a link on my community page. If you feel like following me on Twitter, you can find that in the description of my videos, and other links are on there as well. And yeah, do feel free to comment, because as I say, I like seeing comments on my videos. Even if I don't always respond to them, I will endeavour to at least acknowledge the fact that you've dropped me a comment. And I'm looking forward to the next phase of this project, really, because that's what it is at the moment. It's a project that will hopefully build into a career. And I think I've taken the next step up, which is extremely exciting.